What's happening YouTube? My name is Ryan, and today on Tricro Studios we're talking about the difference between a API Lunchbox 6B and an API Lunchbox 8P. So as you can kind of hear, it's camera audio right now. The reason behind that is I actually have my preamps all out and nothing's plugged in. So could always try using my Neumann through the XLR inputs on my camera, but you're getting camera audio. Doesn't matter. Anyway. So basically what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to explain some of the differences in the lunchboxes. A lot of people have been confused as to why the 8 is cheaper than the 6, why the 6 might be more beneficial to your setup, and of course the age-old question is, why do you need a lunchbox? So yeah, let's take a look at both of them. Okay, so here we have the 8P up top and the 6B on the bottom. I'm absolutely sure that B stands for blue or something like that. Maybe P stands for pitch black, but I really don't know what they stand for, the B's and the P's. Basically, this will hold 6 500 series modules. So you can have preamps, EQs, compressors, DIs, stuff like that in here, and basically you can route it however you want. Personally, because honestly I don't really have the need for a console unless someone wants to send me like Rupert Neve 508 Shelford. I'll take a 32 if you want, that's fine. But I don't have the budget or need for a full-size console, and a lot of my EQ and compression and such I find really works really well with the UAD2 stuff from Universal Audio. So I don't really find that I need to have a full channel strip. And of course, the channel strip that I would want would be the Shelford channel, and again, that's for one channel, that's like $5,000 Canadian, right? So I'm cool with these. So these are all preamps here. So basically, again, this holds 6 500 series modules. This holds 8. The big thing about the 6 is it has 2 pass-throughs in the back. So what you can do is you can have your 6 right here, and you can route 2 external preamps. So what I used to have is I used to have this, and oh god, what did I have routed through here? At one point it was 2 Universal Audio Twinfinities. Then it was a Universal Audio 610, Solo 610, and Focusrite ISA 1. I also had the Mic Tech MPA 201s running through here at one point. I had them all together too. But yeah, this is really good if you do have, say you have 2 full channels that you want to run that aren't 500 series. It's great because with this you can run it through and you can use this all in one setup. This one here only allows for 8 500 series preamps, or whatever you want. It's really cool because on the back, I should really be researching that properly before I actually say it, but the way I think I've read it a few times, but I didn't read it just now. But in the back, you can actually switch it. So, say you have these 2 channels chained together, well, you can have this one going into this one, and it'll come through that way with the DB25 connectors. So yeah, now a lot of people would think right off the bat that, wow, 8 is more than 6, so this has got to be way more expensive. Well, there's a few reasons that this is actually more expensive than this. The first one is, like I said, it has the pass-through for 2 separate preamps or channel strips or whatever you want to run through it. So that automatically means, especially if you're using the DB25 connectors, that means you're not losing out on using existing studio gear that you have. That's awesome. Another big thing is, if you actually look right here, you'll notice that this section here is a lot smaller than this. It's actually 2 500 series spaces smaller than this one. That means that the power supply for this is built in, whereas this one, it is not. It means you need the external, we call them wall warts a lot of times, but the power bricks. I've always thought of wall warts as the like AC power units where you actually plug it in and it's connected right to here. So I'll just say power brick rather than wall wart, but I've heard these called wall warts like crazy. You get a power brick and it has its own proprietary connector. This here just needs a regular, I don't know the term for it, but we'll just say like the computer power cables or what have you, but it just needs one of these. Really easy. Saves space in behind, which to me is always very important. So that's really, this is a hell of a lot heavier too, but that's really the benefit there of the 6 over the 8, if that is what you're looking for. So I've had this for years, 4 or 5 years now. No, take it back, it's about 6 years now. And this I just have. And actually what happened is, this is going to Kevin, who's on this channel too, and this is coming to me. I actually made a deal where Kevin bought this, even though this is cheaper. Kevin bought this because this is what I want. This is what I've needed for my studio, for my workflow, and I'm sending this out to Kevin. Of course, I'm keeping 5 of my modules, and just because I really don't like the Lindell Audio 6X500, even though it's a good preamp, I never use it. I find myself never ever using it, so I'm going to send him that as well. So he's getting a major deal with this, but to me, I feel like I'm getting the better deal just because this works better for my workflow. Now, I'm going to actually turn these around and we'll talk about the back. Okay, so here is the back. The 6B is longer than the 8P here. Of course, this one here was inspected by number 2, or this one is inspected by number 10. So again, as you can see here, proprietary power, and this is just the regular power. Here's the switches that I was talking about, where you have the arrows going through. Excellent. The only connectors on the 8P, and this is where it's really beneficial for me. Maybe not for you, probably not for a lot of people. But this does not have any XLR inputs whatsoever. No ins or outs. It's all controlled through DB25 cables. So that means going in and out of this, I only have 2 cables. That was what my setup was here, but I was only getting 6 inputs with that kind of setup, just because here, because there's only 6 spaces here where this one has 8. This is all organizational for me. The reason that I wanted the 8P versus the 6. But again, it's a much cleaner setup here. I don't have to route anything through here for XLR cables or anything, but that's where the 6 comes in handy. So right here, if you don't want to use the DB25 cables, which I highly recommend, but if you don't want to use them, then you can actually just use regular run-of-the-mill XLR cables or what have you, right? Or you can actually patch in and out if you wanted to create a different signal chain. So that can be highly beneficial depending on your setup. But the big thing for me, I literally have to plug 3 things in. I have to plug the power and my 2 DB25 cables. Excellent, amazing for saving space. I want to get an XLR patch bay that is that has DB25 connectors on them, for the simple fact that it would literally just be 2 cables in my whole setup. My DB25 going to my Apollo 16B, and this going to my XLR patch bay. And then when I want to expand further, because I do have 16 inputs on my 16B, then I could get another 8P, and then that would feed into the existing XLR patch bay, and then it would feed into the second portion of the Apollo 16B. Very easy, very clean setup. I also don't have to worry about with the like combo connections, I guess you would say, with the other Apollos. My Silverface 8 allowed for 4 XLR inputs and 8 inserts on the back, so it would allow me to run from XLR to TRS, or from what I was using, which was the DB25, to TRS. But what would end up happening is my first 4 channels, I would have to control the volume with the 4 preamps that were there. So I just found that it was a little, for my setup, I found it was a little odd that I had to control things that way. It may not make sense to a lot of people, but it's just the way that I'm working. I'm crazy. I do things different, I guess. I don't know, or I do things like you. Who knows? But for me, it's all workflow and ease of setup. And I have a 2-year-old, and she goes everywhere. And when she goes in behind, when I was not running, when I had the Silverface, I couldn't go DB25 to DB25 into my audio interface. So there was a mess of cables in behind there, and you just don't want that for a 2-year-old who's nuts and getting in behind and doing stuff like that, or pulling things out. Anyway, that's kind of the difference between the two. I'm sorry if it was a long kind of thing. If you have any questions on the setup, you could absolutely ask. Like if you feel that maybe you didn't quite understand or grasp, or I didn't go over enough, more than likely, on what these really do or what the benefit of these are, you could absolutely ask in the comments. We always try to get back to you guys really quick. If you check out, like, we have some how to connect videos. If you check those out, those have a ton of comments, and we always respond. So yeah, don't feel bad if you have any questions. We'll try to get back to you. So peace out.